Every morning across America, millions of people wake up, walk into the kitchen, and stand over the sink with a small plastic cup of water and a handful of daily prescriptions. If you are over 60, you know this routine all too well. You might look out the window at your garden, or think about taking your grandchildren to the park, while a quiet, background worry lingers in your mind. Is your blood pressure under control today? Why does it feel like maintaining a healthy heart gets harder with every passing birthday, no matter how carefully you follow the doctor's orders? The truth is, much of what we have been told about aging and blood pressure is based on an outdated myth, the idea that stiff arteries and rising numbers are simply an inevitable tax we must pay for living a long life. But modern cardiovascular medicine and gerontology show us something entirely different. Your blood vessels are not static pipes that simply wear out like old plumbing. They are living, responsive tissues that can regain flexibility, lower their workload, and protect your independence well into your 80s and 90s. Today, we are going to explore how your circulation really works, why standard advice often misses the mark, and how a few precise, low-cost adjustments right at home can help you protect your heart, reduce your reliance on expensive medications, and keep you doing the things you love most. To understand how to keep your heart strong without constantly fearing the blood pressure cuff, it helps to picture your cardiovascular system as the plumbing and engine of a classic American car. When you were in your 20s, your blood vessels were like brand new, flexible rubber hoses. Every time your heart pumped, those hoses expanded easily to absorb the pressure, then gently squeezed back to push blood smoothly along to your brain, your eyes, and your feet. But as the decades roll by, several subtle changes take place under the hood. Mineral deposits, microscopic inflammation, and a natural loss of elastic fibers cause those flexible hoses to harden into rigid glass tubes. Now, when your heart pumps, the walls do not give way. The force bounces right back, forcing the heart muscle to push twice as hard just to deliver oxygen to your toes or keep your mind sharp while driving down the highway. This added workload is precisely why high blood pressure is often called the silent thief. It rarely hurts while it is happening. You might feel completely fine while working in the backyard or strolling through the supermarket, unaware that the delicate capillaries in your kidneys and brain are taking a pounding from that constant, rigid force. Many people assume that as long as they take their daily pill, the problem is solved. But relying solely on medication to force pressure down without addressing the underlying stiffness of the blood vessels is like turning down the volume on a dashboard warning light without checking under the hood. The true goal of active longevity isn't just taking away the symptom, it is restoring the natural resilience of your circulation so your body works with you, not against you. Consider what happens when you go to play a round of golf or chase a quick 5-year-old through the living room. Your muscles suddenly demand extra oxygen. If your blood vessels are elastic, they open wide, allowing blood to flow effortlessly, keeping your breathing calm and your head clear. But if those vessels remain narrow and stiff, your heart has to race and slam blood against tight walls just to meet the demand. You end up feeling winded, fatigued, or dizzy, and you might start turning down invitations to outings because you just don't feel up to it. Losing that physical freedom is not an inevitable consequence of turning 65 or 70, it is simply a signal that your vascular system has lost its flexibility. Fortunately, expanding that flexibility back out is far simpler than most people realize, and it doesn't require high-tech medical treatments or costly supplements. The first major key to unlocking natural vascular flexibility lies in a fascinating molecule produced directly inside the lining of your arteries, known as nitric oxide. Think of nitric oxide as the body's internal power steering fluid. Whenever your heart needs to push blood through, the ultra-thin inner lining of your blood vessels, a tissue called the endothelium, releases a tiny burst of this chemical. Instantly, the surrounding smooth muscle relaxes, the vessel widens, and your blood pressure drops naturally. The trouble is, as we age, our endothelium produces significantly less nitric oxide, leaving our blood vessels locked in a perpetual state of tightness. Many retirees attempt to fix this by cutting every last grain of salt out of their diet, living on bland, uninspiring meals that ruin the pleasure of eating. While reducing excess processed sodium is helpful, focusing entirely on what to remove misses the far more powerful strategy of what to add. Your body creates nitric oxide using specific nutrients found in everyday, affordable foods that you can pick up at any local grocery store. Deep leafy greens like spinach, arugula, and Swiss chard, along with humble root vegetables like red beets, are packed with natural dietary nitrates. When you eat these, the beneficial bacteria in your mouth and digestive system convert them directly into fresh nitric oxide, causing your arteries to relax within hours. Imagine sitting down to a crisp, vibrant salad, or enjoying a simple roasted beet side dish, knowing that with every bite, you are actively loosening the tension in your cardiovascular system. Studies in older adults show that consuming nitrate-rich foods can lead to measurable drops in systolic blood pressure, the top number often equivalent to the effect of a starting dose of common blood pressure drugs. It is a completely safe, low-cost way to give your heart the breathing room it desperately needs, allowing you to walk up a flight of stairs or work in the garden without feeling that heavy chest tightness or sudden fatigue. However, fueling your body with nitrate-rich foods is only half the battle if we overlook a silent, daily pressure elevator that operates behind the scenes, the way we move and breathe throughout the day. In a moment, we will look at a specific, 3-minute physical routine you can do in your living room chair that directly signals your nervous system to lower your pulse and relax your blood pressure. But first, we must address how subtle, daily stress silently tightens your arteries without you even noticing. When you sit down to pay bills, read the news, or review your Medicare statements, your body often registers a subtle sense of tension. Even if you do not feel overtly panicked, your brain perceives a threat and activates the sympathetic nervous system, the classic fight or flight response. In response, your adrenal glands release steady drips of cortisol and adrenaline. These hormones act like tight clamps on your peripheral blood vessels, pulling blood inward toward your core and raising your baseline blood pressure. If this happens day after day, your blood vessels adapt to being continuously clamped down, setting a new, dangerously elevated resting pressure. You can interrupt this chronic stress cycle using a remarkable, built-in reflex known as the baroreceptor feedback loop. Located in the carotid arteries of your neck are tiny pressure sensors that constantly monitor how hard your heart is pushing. When these sensors detect a specific pattern of slow, rhythmic pressure changes, they send an immediate command to your brain: slow the heart rate, widen the blood vessels, and calm the entire system down. You can trigger this exact biological reflex anywhere, at any time, simply by altering the cadence of your breath. Instead of taking quick, shallow breaths into your upper chest, try sitting comfortably in your favorite armchair, resting your hands on your lap, and taking a slow, deep breath in through your nose for a count of 4 seconds. Hold it gently for 2 seconds, and then exhale slowly through your mouth for a count of 6 seconds. When your exhale is longer than your inhale, it physically signals the vagus nerve to slow down your heart rate and signal the arterial walls to release their grip. Doing this simple extended exhale breathing for just 3 to 5 minutes twice a day acts like pulling the emergency brake on runaway stress levels. It costs nothing, requires no equipment, and provides an immediate, measurable soothing effect on your vascular system. Physical movement, too, plays an indispensable role in maintaining youthful circulation, but here lies another widespread misconception. Many people believe that to improve heart health, they must engage in intense, exhausting cardio sessions, jogging on hard pavement, or spending hours on a gym treadmill. For an adult in their 60s, 70s, or 80s, this approach can often backfire, leading to joint pain, foot issues, or elevated stress hormones that actually drive blood pressure up. The secret to optimal circulation in your golden years is not intensity, it is consistent, low-impact mechanical activation of your muscles. Every time the large muscles in your legs contract, they act as a secondary heart. Take your calf muscles, for example. When you walk, your calves flex and squeeze the deep veins in your legs, pumping blood against gravity right back up to your heart. This takes an enormous burden off your cardiac muscle. If you sit for hours at a time reading or watching television, those muscle pumps remain completely inactive, forcing your heart to work much harder to drag blood up from your lower extremities. A wonderful, safe way to keep this secondary pump active without stressing your knees or hips is the simple practice of frequent, short movement breaks. You do not need to embark on grueling hikes. Simply standing up every hour to do 10 gentle heel raises, lifting up onto your toes and lowering back down, forces those calf muscles to contract and circulate fluid effectively. Walking around the kitchen while waiting for your morning coffee to brew, or taking a slow, 10-minute stroll down your driveway after lunch, keeps your peripheral circulation flowing smoothly. Over time, this consistent, gentle movement prompts your body to build tiny new blood vessel pathways, a process called angiogenesis, which effectively expands your internal highway network and lowers overall resistance across your whole system. As we look toward maintaining long-term vitality, there is one critical aspect of blood pressure management that remains almost completely overlooked in traditional medical consultations, yet it is arguably the most powerful lever you have control over. It does not involve diet, exercise, or stress reduction in the traditional sense, but rather how your body repairs itself while you rest. When you drift off to sleep at night, a healthy cardiovascular system undergoes a vital process known as nocturnal dipping. During deep sleep, your heart rate slows down, your sympathetic nervous system quietens, and your blood pressure naturally drops by 10 to 20%. This nighttime drop gives your arterial walls a crucial window of time to rest, repair microscopic tears, and recover from the daytime stresses of gravity and movement. It is the biological equivalent of parking your car in the garage, turning off the engine, and letting the mechanics do maintenance overnight. Unfortunately, millions of older adults unknowingly suffer from a condition that completely robs them of this nightly repair process: fragmented sleep and hidden nighttime breathing disruptions. If you wake up repeatedly during the night, suffer from frequent nighttime trips to the bathroom, or wake up in the morning feeling unrefreshed with a dry mouth, your body may be experiencing subtle drops in oxygen while you sleep. Every time your airway narrows or your sleep lightens, your brain senses a mini emergency and floods your bloodstream with adrenaline to wake you up just enough to breathe. As a result, your blood pressure stays elevated all night long. When your arterial walls never get that nocturnal rest break, they become progressively stiffer and more inflamed with each passing month. This is why many people find their morning blood pressure readings soaring high, even if they took their medication right before bed. Protecting your sleep architecture is one of the most direct, evidence-based ways to restore youthful vascular health. Simple habits like keeping your bedroom cool, stopping large meals and bright screens 2 hours before bed, and speaking with your doctor if you snore loudly can completely restore your body's natural nightly recovery dip. Now, as promised, let us arrive at the single most impactful, non-obvious piece of advice for taking total control of your cardiovascular health at home, a practice that puts the power squarely back in your hands and protects you from unnecessary medication increases. It has to do with how you measure your blood pressure, and how an improperly taken reading can accidentally mislead both you and your physician. When you visit a medical clinic, you often walk in from a busy parking lot, hurry down a long hallway, sit on an uncomfortable exam table with your feet dangling in the air, and have a nurse wrap a cuff over your sleeve while asking you questions about your medical history. By the time the machine squeezes your arm, your system is flooded with mild anxiety and physical tension, a phenomenon known as white coat hypertension. It is incredibly common for a person's systolic pressure to register 15 to 20 points higher in a doctor's office than it actually is when they are sitting peacefully at home. If your care team relies solely on those rushed clinical readings, you might end up receiving higher doses of prescriptions than your body actually needs, leading to side effects like dizziness, fatigue, cold hands, or sudden lightheadedness when you stand up to go to the kitchen. To get a true, reliable picture of your heart health, you must master the art of accurate home monitoring. First, always rest quietly in a chair with back support for 5 full minutes before pressing the start button. Ensure your feet are planted flat on the floor, never crossed, as crossing your legs at the knees can artificially raise your systolic pressure by several points. Support your arm on a table so the cuff rests precisely at the same height as your heart. Most importantly, do not talk, scroll through your phone, or watch television during the reading. Silence and stillness allow your nervous system to settle into its baseline state. Take 2 readings spaced 1 minute apart in the morning before breakfast and medication, and 2 readings in the evening before bed. Log these numbers in a simple notebook for 2 weeks. When you bring this clean, accurate home record to your physician, you provide them with invaluable, real-world data. It allows you and your doctor to work together as a team, making precise, conservative adjustments to your care, avoiding overmedication, and celebrating the genuine progress your body is making through your lifestyle improvements. Taking care of your heart after 60 is not about striving for perfection or adopting an exhausting, restrictive lifestyle. It is about understanding the gentle, logical language of your body. By nourishing your blood vessels with natural nitrates, resetting your nervous system with intentional breathing, keeping your leg muscles active through daily life, protecting your nighttime rest, and tracking your progress accurately, you give your heart the ultimate gift: resilience. You preserve the freedom to bend down and tend to your favorite flowers, to drive across the country to visit family, and to play floor games with your grandchildren without catching your breath or worrying about what the numbers will say tomorrow. Your body possesses an extraordinary capacity to adapt, heal, and thrive at any age when given the right support. If you liked the video, give it a like, subscribe, and stay with us. There are still many inspiring stories and useful ideas ahead.